Now that your picture's in the paper being rhythmically admired.
Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be doing just a bit more of a kind of random sort of like discussion video for an idea that I came up with actually when I reviewed my last album review, which was for the Icicle Works debut album. And I said in that video that I really liked the first two tracks of this album. I thought that together they worked really well, opened the album great. And it kind of got me thinking about other albums where I think the first two songs, like in particular, are either the best songs or they just work really well like as two opening tracks like on the album. So I've picked out a few other albums here like where like I think the first two tracks are standout, noteworthy, or like just sort of like personal favourites like of mine. Now, I do also apologise like if I have subconsciously stole this like idea like from like previous videos like of like others, like, but I don't think I have. Like, how do we look through like various channels like I do watch regularly, and like no one's made a video like on like this topic like certainly like in like the past couple like of like years like at least. So maybe like this is an original idea like of mine, like who knows. But yeah, just get right into it, talking about like albums where the first two tracks really stand out. And an easy one to start with for me would be Elvis Costello's My Aim Is True album, which kicks off with the short and punchy Welcome to the Working Week, followed by the fantastic Miracle Man, backed with the fantastic playing like off Clover like on here. Just got a great kind of swagger to it, like that song Miracle Man like in particular. And I just think these two songs like in particular just work really well together. It's almost very difficult to kind of, once Welcome to Working Week finishes, to not expect to hear Miracle Man like kind of like come like follow it like straight after. So yeah, those two songs work really well as the openers there of My Aim Is True. Next two here for me, another case where I think the two opening tracks are the best two on the album, or certainly two of the best on the album. It's the Beautiful South's album, Meow here. So this one starts with the brilliant Hold On To What, which is a kind of quite a meandering song. It's about 6 minutes like in length, quite dark in tone like in many ways, about kind of like working sort of hard like your whole life kind of for something like which never comes, and sort of feeling like oppressed like by the system. He sings like on it like holding on is harder when it's something you've not got. I'll need a pair of stilts if I'm to ever reach the top. So then you've got this like this quite dark opening track, quite mysterious song. But then that then goes into Good As Gold, which is one of the Beautiful South's more pop-friendly moments. Certainly, like not a big single for them in terms of chart success, but definitely a song which has endured and is one of Heaton's most celebrated, most well-loved songs now. And yeah, it's just got this very poppy kind of like feel to it, like it's carry on regardless kind of refrain, and just feels a lot more kind of like upbeat like and like positive. And I think those two songs again, they just work really well together, like really set up like this album like really well. Another case now where you've got an album where the opener is really long and then the second track is a bit more lighter like in tone, and like it's a combo that works, is the Smiths album The Queen Is Dead here. So where you've got like in this case The Queen Is Dead to open, which is I think it's the longest officially released Smiths track. It's incredibly powerful rocker, like incredible drumming like from like Mike Joyce, Johnny Marr's going crazy like on like this wall of guitars like on it. It's just a very powerful statement like of intent really. And then the second track, they follow that up with Frankly Mr. Shankly, which is so lightweight like in comparison, but I think it's just a pairing that works really well, and like really kind of shows off sort of like both sides like of like the Smiths like really well. They're kind of serious sort of band side of things, like I mean like they were serious players, but like then also like this lightness of touch, this sense of humor like coming through like on like the second track like as well. So yeah, I just think like it's a pair like of opening songs what works really well. Similar to The Queen Is Dead, this one here, where like the opening tracks kind of have contrasting styles. I came up with Preb Sprouts Jordan the Comeback album here. So this track so this album kicks off with Looking for Atlantis, which has got this kind of rolling kind of up-tempo kind of feel, kind of like quite guitar driven song, this one here, quite traditional kind of like instrumentation on it, kind of bluesy harmonica, kind of rolling guitars, very kind of like sort of rock and roll kind of throwback like kind of feel to it. Of course you've got kind of like an 80s sheen like on it as well, but generally speaking the style of the track is yeah, kind of sort of like 50s, kind of like, so like late 50s, kind of like, so like rocker kind of feel to it. And then the second track really contrasts to that well, which is Wild Horses, which is a very subdued track, largely synth-driven song here, which again just works really well, like as a kind of nice sort of calming, like second track. And probably for me, those are the two highlights like on this album. I don't think there's anything else looking through the track list that could really come close, I think, to those two opening songs. And like that's a theme like that, like runs through my next couple of picks as well. Albums where the first two tracks are the standouts, and almost kind of the rest of the album kind of pales like in comparison like a little bit. So an example of that would be Lloyd Cole's album Bad Vibes here from 1993. So this is one where, yeah, the first two tracks really do overshadow the rest of the album. Starts off with the track Morning is Broken, which is a great song, some of Cole's best lyrics, I think, on it. And then just this, yeah, great kind of, quite 90s sounding production, but I think sounds really great. And then goes into So You'd Like to Save the World, which has more of a kind of folky kind of feel to it. I definitely, it's a bit more percussive, this one, like kind of like nice like acoustic guitars like on it, and then again some great slide guitar work like on it too. And I just think these two tracks are just miles better than anything else like on this otherwise slightly average album here. So maybe one other track, Love You So What, which is really good, but really aside from that, there's nothing else what matches the quality like off those two tracks. So this is maybe a case where, yeah, two great opening tracks, but the rest of the album maybe a bit patchy like in comparison. Another favourite pairing of opening tracks for me is the Wings album, London Town, which again, a bit like some of the previous examples I showed, really has this kind of contrasting moods kind of feel to it, with London Town a kind of slower, steady kind of song, which builds very naturally, lush harmonies on it, a very elegant arrangement like on London Town, and really I think sets the scene like of the album really well. A kind of dreary kind of, yeah, like walking down the sidewalk on a purple afternoon, he sings on it, and it just has a feeling of a kind of, yeah, wet kind of city kind of like sort of like atmosphere like on it. But then always after London Town finishes, I always yearn to hear the opening organ part that kicks off Cafe on the Left Bank, a more kind of urgent rocker, which continues this kind of manic scene like of like a busy kind of city sort of like theme like that as like a merge like on this album, but would then quickly kind of be dispelled like by the time you get to like the third track like I'm Carrying. So yeah, again, two songs here, but I think just work really well like as like the album openers. Another case now when I think the two openers are the two best tracks on the album. I've got the Kinks album. The Kinks are the Village Green Preservation Society. So it kicks off with the title track, which very much is the kind of sets out the stall like of the album, the kind of manifesto like of like the whole record. It's the only song where you get the lyrics printed to it, and it basically just tells you all you need to know really like about like the whole album. Clever wordplay in it about all things British and like worth like preserving like on it. And then that goes really, really, really nicely like into Do You Remember Walter, which just works really well like as a second track. It keeps up like the momentum. You've got this kind of, yeah, quite like immediate piano part, and then this drum roll, which Jeff Lynne would steal for Mr. Blue Sky. And it's a track which is just, again, great lyrics on it about kind of like lost friendships. A very kind of sad but like relatable track, which musically bounces along. And I think these two songs together really give the first half of this album a lot of like momentum. 10 out of 10 tracks to kick off a really, really great album. Okay, going a bit more obscure with this next pick here, 90s kind of sort of indie pop band, the Railway Children, hailing from Wigan. This is their third album called A Native Place. Came out originally in 1990, this album, and yeah, this just kicks off with two great tracks, Every Beat of the Heart, absolute great jangle pop track which just gets you hooked like onto like the album. I mean like there's a bit more than jangle pop, I guess. I guess there's some kind of keyboard parts like on it like as well, but really, really, really great stuff. And then you've got probably my favourite on the album, Music Stop, which is just this kind of great kind of programmed synth part to kick off, and then just this great guitar, great keyboard work. It's just a really fun upbeat track, and like again, like sort of like again, that really sets out the stall like for like this album, and like maybe a bit like the Lloyd Cole one, that's maybe not quite anything else on here that would maybe reach the peaks of those two tracks. Maybe something so good like as another highlight. But certainly looking through the track list, I don't think there's anything like on here that is quite as good as those opening two tracks there. So yeah, that is The Railway Children and Native Place. Okay, next two now are both albums where you've got the opening tracks, which are written by two different members, like the band. I think is a great way to really show the kind of range and breadth of talent, like in like your band, like if like you're able to do that. So a good example of that would be Teenage Fan Club's Grand Prix album here, which kicks off with Raymond McGinley's About You, probably my favourite Teenage Fan Club song. I don't think it was a single like or anything, but it is a great song. And then you've got Gerard Love's Sparky's Dream, one of his most immediate kind of punchy songs, a great kind of melodic track, and again maybe a bit like the Lloyd Cole one. Those for me are the two highlights like on this album. I don't think anything else like on here kind of comes close. But it's maybe one I do need to revisit. I don't know this album 100% too well, but I think like those two tracks, and then you've then got Norman Blake's Mellowed Out. So the first three tracks written by three different members like of like the band. That's what really made Teenage Fan Club quite unique, and is a great way to kick off that album. And a similar kind of theme to that would be XTC's album Black Sea here, where again you've got the two the first two tracks written by the two different songwriters in the band. In this case, you've got Respectable Street kicking off, which is an abrasive, clangy track written by Andy Partridge. Very kind of like observational lyrics, quite snidey lyrics sort of thing, like about kind of like sort of sneering about like the middle classes kind of thing, and like their caravans, like what never leave the driveways and all that kind of like imagery like on it. And then that goes incredibly well into Colin Moulding's Generals and Majors, a more kind of bouncy, like on the surface track, but lyrically deals with kind of sort of politicians and sort of like warmongers kind of thing, and the kind of like hypocrisy like of the military kind of rankings and that, like Generals and Majors seem so unhappy like unless they've got a war. He sings like on it, but packaged up in this very infectious kind of pop song with its great kind of like harmony vocals and like really catchy, very memorable like guitar riff on it. So yeah, a great 1-2 opening punch there on XTC's Black Sea album. And the last one, just to finish up with one of my all-time favourite albums, is Paul Simon's Graceland here, which may be more like obvious choice here, but again I think really kicks off with two of the strongest tracks on the album. The Boy in the Bubble, with its fantastic like accordion like introduction. You then get like sort of like these like incredibly powerful drum beats, and then the album just kicks off. It like always has been one of my favourite album openers. And then the second track is Graceland, which is just again, it probably is Paul Simon's finest song. I think like even he says even he says himself that it's the best song like he ever wrote, and I would be hard pressed to disagree with that. It's just got a real steady kind of easy rhythm to it, some awesome guitar work on it like from like Ray Pirry, and yeah, just again some awesome lyrics, great imagery like on it. Like these two tracks opening the Graceland album doesn't really get much better than that. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this. Yeah, slightly different like video, like looking at like favourite like first two sort of like opening tracks like on albums. So yes, I would be interested to know if you have got any other examples you'd like to share like of like particular albums where you think the first two tracks are particularly good or particularly noteworthy. And yep, I will see you all next time for the next video. Goodbye.